In this lecture, we will understand how to monitor AWS Redshift Serverless. If you are using AWS Redshift Provision Cluster, you need to monitor the cluster, node, and the queries. With Serverless, you do not need to worry about monitoring cluster or node, as this is managed by AWS. Your monitoring towards compute becomes significantly smaller with it. This enables you to focus on monitoring your query and data performance. You can get the serverless insights by using system views and CLOUDWATCH metrics. Monitoring serverless query and workloads can be achieved with the help of system views, which are available in system schema, called PG_catalog. Here is the list of available system views in this schema. You can directly query these views through the query editor or an external SQL tool. These views provide you the workload's insights from multiple perspectives. Workload views, where you can monitor queries over time, to understand workload patterns and the deviations, if any. Data load and unload views, which can help you understand the bytes or the rows transferred, your file processing status, etc. Failure and problem diagnostics, help you in understanding the query or runtime failures. Performance tuning views, provide you the run plan, statistics, duration and the resource consumption associated with your queries. With user objects views, you can understand the actions and activities on user objects, such as refreshing materialized views, vacuum, and analyze. Usage tracking for billing views help you in budget planning, cost estimates, and identifying the cost-saving opportunities. You can assign users query monitoring access in 2 steps. Add a query monitoring policy for a user or role, and then grant query monitoring permission to the user or role. Here is the required policy. You must map it to the IAM users, groups or roles. If you want IAM users to have the monitoring access, you can create a user group and attach this policy to it. Or you can create an IAM role with this policy, which an IAM user can assume. Additionally, you can also define these permissions with Identity Federation and Identity Center, depending upon how the end users are authorized into AWS. At the database level, there are 2 permission types: sysmonitor and sysoperator. If the user is sysmonitor, he or she can view all queries, whereas if the user is sysoperator, user can cancel queries, analyze query history, and perform vacuum operations only. You can use this command to provide system monitor access to the user. In this command, username is the name of the user for whom you want to provide access. Similar command you can use to assign sysoperator role to the user. Once the 2 steps are completed to provide required permission, user can query the system views and tables to get the required monitoring data. Other than the system views, you can also leverage CLOUDWATCH to get other useful insights. For this, you must configure Redshift Serverless to export connection, user, and user activity log data to AWS CLOUDWATCH. You can do this by choosing the namespace configuration settings under Security and Encryption. Once you configure the logs to get exported, AWS creates a log group for you on CLOUDWATCH. In the specified log group, namespace represents the namespace name of your serverless platform, and log_type represents the log category, which could be either of connection, user or user_activity. Here is the set of available compute metrics. Queries completed per second represents the number of queries completed per second. Query duration represents the average amount of time to complete a query. Queries running represents the number of running queries at a point in time. Queries queued represents the number of queries in the queue at a point in time. Database connections represents the number of connections to a database at a point in time. Query runtime breakdown represents the total time queries ran, by query stage. Compute capacity represents average number of compute units allocated during the past 30 minutes. Compute seconds represents accumulated compute units seconds used in the last 30 minutes. Queries succeeded represents the number of queries that succeeded in the last 5 minutes. Queries failed represents the number of queries that failed in the last 5 minutes. Usage limit available and usage limit consumed. Here is the list of available data and storage metrics. Total table count represents the number of user tables existing at a point in time. Data storage represents the number of megabytes used in disk or storage space. Snapshot storage represents the number of megabytes used in disk or storage space for snapshots. Please note that the metrics provide you a trend on any aspect. To get more details specific to a topic, You must check the system views we discussed earlier. Also, you can use CloudWatch to create alarms against any of the events you are interested in. For instance, you can configure the compute capacity metric to alert you if the compute capacity goes beyond 500 RPU.